Hello, friends. Christine here. Katrina has asked me to do a short explanation about the astrology in the Tarot of the Holy Light. So that seemed like an opportune moment to bring up why I did this and to demonstrate where I'm coming from. So, um, you may know me as a historian and researcher. I've done a lot of work in the esoteric paradigm leading up to the appearance of Tarot and related to what probably has to be there in the inherent structure in it, based on the stages of esotericism that happened in the late Middle Ages, early Renaissance Europe. So it's pretty knowable once you line things up in a chronological level. And so my two books about the Tarot of the Holy Light cover this territory fairly well. Volume one being the operator's manual, and volume two being an accounting of all the history that I put together in order to make the decisions that are represented on the deck itself. So, the main thing I just want to show you right in this little presentation is a slide. The first slide I put together for the talk for the Jung Society in 2018. So I went down to San Francisco and started right out with this slide here. Now, in the upper left, or the whole left side of the field, is this beautiful colored diagram of the ladder of lights, which is a ancient construct that's like a bone structure behind the zodiac, behind the the presentation that we now make of the situation in the solar system. So this ladder of lights diagram is coordinated with the four elemental trines, with the rulership pattern and ancient rulership pattern of the signs, and with the doctrine of essential dignities. So it becomes the rationale for a huge amount of the base rules of astronomy and astrology. And all of this is inherited from the antique world. So this little figure of three rectangles, one very strongly vertical, one square, and one very strongly horizontal, that is the pattern of treaty relationships that every sign and its ruling planet has with every other. And it's worth a whole presentation of its own. So, taking that as an ancient diagram that I have reasserted for the Tarot of the Holy Light, let's look over to these four smaller diagrams to the right, starting with the one on the top to the middle, which is a astronomical diagram with a zodiac around the outside edge and a pattern of aspects or interrelationships that exist because of the difference in degrees between one thing and another. So planets, as they travel through the signs, are seen to have lines of communication to each other's positions. And these lines of communications are standardized in 30-degree increments. And so you have exemplars here of all the 30-degree family aspects laid out to show you the esoteric worldview in astronomy during the time. I think this was flood. So what would that be? Late 1400s, early 1500s. So we're the thing that you need to notice is that they have the sign Aries up at the top. It's not a chart of the year putting Aries at the ascending point. It's actually got Aries up at the top, and the zodiac unfolds from there. So all the traditional aspects and their family relations are illustrated there. So to the right at the top is the diagram Pappas put in his book, Tarot of the Bohemians. And this is the astronomical rationalization for his deck and the esoteric astrology that he was teaching from at the time. And Pappas was a very, very important person in the secret societies in his time. He actually had links across Europe, all the way north into Russia, all the way down into Italy, including a strong amount of consensus and connection with Eliphas Levi and his world of Tarot teaching. And so you can see this is exactly the same diagram, but they have it tipped a little bit um, in the opposite direction to the one that Flood made. So that one, this one has Aries on the ascendant, and therefore the ladder of lights sort of cuts across it on a diagonal, because the ladder of lights does not move, but the precession of the equinoxes moves the ascendant point every 1,000, 2,000 years. So you just see this same diagram portrayed as in a slightly different angle depending upon who's giving it to us and why. So the next one on the bottom left is the exact same astrolabe from Oswald Wirth. And he has done this thing of putting Aries at the bottom and then rotating it counterclockwise. So it's a little bit different than what we saw above. You have to rotate your mind around to put the Aries point at the very bottom. But then again, you see him spelling out the three, the four elemental trines and their triplicities of signs and their ruling planets. And so he's got a whole another version of the exact same astronomical model that we inherit from antiquity, but he's drawn it his own way. He's angled it from a different direction. And so you don't necessarily see that it's the exact same model again. So finally, on the bottom on the left is the sexagesimal grid of astronomy that everybody's working from, however they turn it, whatever direction they angle it, wherever they want to put the Aries as the spot of beginning. It's up to what style of astrology you're doing or what period of astrology you're referencing. But in every case, this ladder of lights, this body of rulership between the planets and the signs, and the inherent connections between all of the signs and each other through the doctrine of essential dignities. This is all exactly the same as we inherited from the Greeks in the centuries BC. And it's exactly the same what has come forward into the Renaissance, what has come forward again into the Reformation and the, period of the last couple centuries as it became more and more visible in the world of Tarot, used by people who were strongly embedded amongst the Masons, Rosicrucians, Martinists, and other secret societies. So I am really teaching the Tarot of the secret societies and the Tarot prior to the 20th century. And this would be the model we inherited from antiquity and are still finding embedded in the cards in their Marseille style ordering and presentation. So there you go. That's my statement on astrology and tarot. Thank you for listening.